We talked a lot about future generations, and the Rochester Youth Climate Leaders are very much representative of the generations to come who will inherit the planet that we leave to them. And I want to ask Liam Smith to come up and say a few words from the Rochester Youth Climate Leaders. Liam?
Hello everyone, my name is Liam Smith. I'm a rising senior at Brighton High School. I'm one of the lead organizers of the Rochester Youth Climate Leaders and president of Brighton High School's Climate Club. I've worked on several different projects with these organizations, but most recently we've been pushing Monroe County to establish a climate action plan. Today I want to talk a little bit about why climate change matters to me and why I'm grateful for Representative Morelle's leadership on this issue. As a high school student, I'm concerned about climate change, quite frankly, because I am concerned about my future. As the global average temperature increases over time, the issues associated with climate change will increase in severity. It will take time for our climate to heat up. So much time that our current politicians will probably not be alive to witness the worst ramifications. However, my generation and future generations will be alive. We will endure the effects of a chaotic and rapidly changing climate. We will be subject to drought, famine, increasingly severe storms, and wildfires, worse air pollution, increased prevalence of insect-borne diseases, coastal flooding, climate refugee crisis, and possibly even wars over dwindling resources. Knowing about the havoc that climate change could wreak in my generation is distressing. But what I find even more distressing is knowing that my generation has no power to stop climate change. We can't vote. We can't hold elected office. Sometimes politicians won't even listen to us. The unfortunate reality of being a child is that our interests are inherently underrepresented in government. What this means is that my generation is destined to endure the worst effects of climate change, and we have no power to stop it, unless someone speaks up on our behalf. Unless leaders listen to our concerns, speak up in Congress, and reach across the aisle to support bipartisan solutions. I am lucky and grateful that I can say Representative Morelle is one of those leaders. When the Rochester Youth Climate Leaders started campaigning for a climate action plan in Monroe County, we realized that in order to be taken seriously by the legislature, we needed some powerful people to support us. For that reason, when Benny, Isaac, and I were in DC for Citizens Climate Lobby's June Lobby Day, we set up an extra meeting to discuss our efforts with Representative Morelle's office. We had a very productive meeting with one of his friendly staffers, Ms. Stiles, and then we scheduled a follow-up meeting in his district office. Soon enough, we had ourselves a quote of endorsement from Representative Morelle. I was pleasantly surprised by how quickly he responded to our call for action, and I was thrilled to hear that he is also co-sponsoring the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, the Climate Emergency Resolution, and the Climate Action Now Act. To solve climate change quickly, completely, and equitably, we will need a massive federal mobilization of the renewable energy sector of our time. But we will also need a local movement to provide the resources, education, and leadership to implement climate solutions in our community. I applaud Representative Morelle for addressing climate change in a multifaceted approach by supporting climate policy at both federal and county levels. In the midst of knowing that my generation could face the worst climatic catastrophe ever known to man, I see a leader who cares not only for his voters, but also for those who cannot yet vote for him. A man who's doing his part to ensure a viable planet for posterity. A man who gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, we will solve climate change. Thank you, Representative Morelle, for being that man.
Well, hopefully we'll see in Liam's future public service. I think he's already there, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, as are Benny and Itzhak. And I really appreciate young people coming to this because, you know, there's a lot going on in people's lives: school, work, family. The fact that young people are engaged at such an early age, it's something that will have profound effects on them, I think says a lot about their dedication, their passion. And in closing, let me thank everyone for being here and for their contributions, and not only today, but the work that they do day in and day out. There is no greater threat facing humanity, and there's probably never been a greater threat ever that's faced humanity. That's why it's important that we act We work very hard. We continue to bring passion to this important issue and protect generations and generations to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.